What is going on, you guys, and welcome to Gamers Land. In today's video, we're going to go ahead and check out some of this Battlefield news that has recently come out. Let's go. Alright, so on a Twitter post from Battlefield Direct Communication, it states that our next game update for Battlefield 2042 will arrive next week. A lot of people are hoping that it was this week on Thursday, but they have pushed it back one more week. So it seems like it's going to be coming up next week. Weekly missions will be suspended for a further week, and we will resume next week following the release of Update 3.3. So that seems like it's going to be pretty cool. We're definitely looking forward to something new. If we go ahead and click on the link, this is coming from Part Welsh, part of the EA DICE team. It says, "Hey folks, just a quick note to share that we are now expecting our next game update, Update 3.3, to drop next week. We had intended to release it later this week, but we made a decision to hold back so that we're best positioned to support in case any issues might have cropped up over the weekend." It says that Update 3.3 will introduce Refresh Scoreboard, incorporating requests from across the community to update our format to display deaths alongside kills and team split up to help differentiate leaders per team. It says, "Thank you for your feedback and suggestions on this. Is deeply appreciated by us as well." Appreciated by us all. Look at me, I'm just making up words now. It says, "Gold Edition, Ultimate Edition, and Year 1 Pass holders, Upgraded Edition owners, and EA Play Pro subscribers will also be receiving the Steadfast exclusive Legendary bundle as shared last month when this update goes live." So we all know that really cool skin they were showing, that skins for the weapons, skins for the tank, I believe it was a skin for the tank, will be coming out with this patch 3.3. And that is not all. So it seems here that Battlefield Core feedback for maps, it says that on February 1st they were reaffirmed their commitment to push up the quality of Battlefield 2042. Part of that commitment is to better clarify the design direction that we're taking and what's motivating our decisions to bring improvements to the game via feedback loop that involves you, our players, more directly. It says today we'll kick off our first key area of focus, which is map design. It says that based on our feedback, 5 main topics they've identified around the current problems that they are facing with gameplay on maps. Okay, so they're going to go on 5 keys topics of what they believe from our feedback is affecting the game. They're going to start off with traversal, and they state, "One of the core issues we have identified is traversal. We both see and have heard your frustrations on how long it takes on maps today to travel between flags or from base spawn to flag. This comes as a result of introduction of 128 players in combination with some of the biggest maps that we've ever created as play spaces. While the larger maps offer more play space and freedom, a side effect is that the gameplay is now spread out more, resulting in overall increases in time to combat when related to playing the objective," which we believe and we know that objective play is a real big part of Battlefield. You know, one of the biggest things you always hear is PTFO, play the effing objective. You know, you never really hear that in any other game besides Battlefield. That's a really big part of the game, and to me it's the more fun part of the game. You know, I play other games like Call of Duty, and you play domination, everything else, and you just find yourself trying to get those kills. I really don't get at least for myself, I don't watch myself or catch myself, should I say, playing the objective a lot in that game. I usually use those game modes to kind of improve my weapons and unlock skins and whatnot and so forth. It says that we've seen you use the terms such as walking simulator to describe how this feels in game. We understand this isn't a satisfying experience and agree that there's too much overall travel time, which we all know that's been like that in Battlefield for a very long time. Battlefield has always had bigger maps. You have vehicles, you have air vehicles, so it's always been a part of Battlefield, but I guess I can somewhat agree that it does take a little bit longer in Battlefield 2042. This says we're currently looking to reduce the overall travel time between flags and base spawn on some maps by moving both the spawn and close flags. We've already identified a number of obvious candidates that fall outside of our new expected behaviors, but we want to hear from you on this topic as well. They want to know which maps. So it says, which maps presently provide a poor opening experience because of the location of the base spawn? Which maps are making it harder to get back into the fight in an all-cap scenario? Later on in this post, we'll share a link to a general feedback thread that we've opened up to capture some of this feedback, but don't be shy to have these conversations out amongst other hubs of Battlefield community. We're out there monitoring the conversation and are keen to hear what you have to say, which I think that, here's my thought.
No one fucking cares.
With Battlefield and all the developers and everyone that's getting involved and listening, they have been hit hard this past year since the release of Battlefield 2042. I think that during the beta, people enjoyed it a lot. There was a lot of people that didn't enjoy the beta, but I think there was a lot more people that did. I think it was a breath of fresh air. People have been waiting a long time for Battlefield, and I think that once people started playing and the game finally launched, and people saw that it was fun when the beta came out because it was something new, but once they got to experience the whole thing as a whole, there was a lot of letdowns and people went hard. I have a video out there that I'll try to link somewhere on the screen, if not in the description down below, of how I feel that the community has been a big part of Battlefield's failure. And to be honest with you, the fact that they're out there stating what they're saying, that says we're out there monitoring the conversations and are keen to hear what you have to say. The fact that they're trying so hard where they're telling you, hey, you don't have to just go to a Battlefield community hub. They're out there reading other, which I'm sure is Reddit, Twitter. They're checking up on all type of social medias and listening to what people have to say. And I can only imagine how difficult it is for someone that's creating it to have to deal with certain people's opinions, because some people don't know how to speak. They don't know how to relay their feelings towards something in a manner where it helps instead of hurts, or you guys know what I'm talking about. You look on Twitter, you see all the trash talking. And I guess there's a difference between trash talking and giving your opinion to help support and make the game better. And we know that they have taken a very hard hit. Till this day, there's still a lot of negative things said about Battlefield. But at the same time, it's nice that they've been able to overcome that, look at themselves, accept where they failed, and want to see what the community's saying. And if something's not too far-fetched or something's not way too difficult to fix, that they're going to take their time to do it. And honestly, I think that's a great move forward. And I hope they can continue to do that, and they continue to do that for every game. Honestly, I think all game creators should do that. They should pay attention to what people are saying. You know, obviously ignore all the stupid things that are being said. But if you see something be repetitive amongst almost everyone, then you should listen. You know, at the end of the day, you want to make a game that everyone wants to enjoy and play. And I think the best way to do that is to listen and give people to an extent of what they want, you know? So let's move on. Next, they ended up talking about intensity. Another area that we've identified where we feel that we can improve your gameplay experience is the overall intensity of combat. Largely, we feel that this issue is mainly related to 128 player modes, and especially in Breakthrough. We know that during certain pushes for the objective, it can get too chaotic where fighting over flags, either there are too many players or vehicles, and sometimes the overall chaos can make it feel overwhelming when accurately trying to assess what's happening around you. And truthfully, I play Breakthrough probably once in a while if I'm a little bored of Conquest, but I've always been a Conquest player. I like Team Deathmatch, I like Rush, and I guess I just haven't given Breakthrough the chance that I guess it deserves. I know a lot of people play it. I watch a lot of Level Cap Gaming, and I see that's really all he plays, and it honestly seems fun, but it does seem a bit chaotic, and I think that's why I don't play it. But I think I should give it a chance. It seems like a very fun game mode. It says, in terms of improvement, we are presently reviewing if it makes sense to keep Breakthrough as 128 players versus 64, or if we feel that the reduction of the total number of vehicles that can spawn ensures that their presence isn't overwhelming, and it gives infantry players a more important role. In the lead up to the holidays, we introduced 64 player Breakthrough. and recently made some changes to the ticket values across the modes based on behaviors we were seeing in the final objective phase. Right now, we feel that Breakthrough on 64-player provides the best experience of Breakthrough. And then they just state that they want to hear from you. How you feel about the balance between infantry and vehicles, have you played 64-player Breakthrough, and how you feel about it. So they're pretty much asking for people's opinion, which again, I think is great. I think that's what they should be doing, and doing it more often. Personally, in any game, 128 players is a lot. Okay, it's people think that when you have this whole ton of players, it's going to make the game more interesting, more fun. But yes, that can become way too chaotic, way overcrowded. You get way more vehicles, and if you end up against a team where they have like 10 or 15 players that are amazing on vehicles, and you're the kind of person that just likes to be on the ground, running around, it is going to take from the infantry perspective, and I think that should be noted. Battlefield can still be a great battlefield without having 55 helis and tanks roaming around just destroying all infantry. So I think that's a good thing to probably bump it down to 64. It'll just make it better for everyone. So on the next topic, they're talking about line of sight. Line of sight is another topic that we've received plenty of feedback on. When we refer to line of sight, we're relating this to how often you're taking fire from enemies at a distance. We feel and have heard from you that there are presently too many open and flat spaces on some of our maps, which puts too much focus on direct long-distance combat between objectives. We largely see that the feedback aim at certain areas in Kaleidoscope, but have observed discussion on other areas of our maps as well, which that is a big point. I think anyone that is currently enjoying Battlefield and plays Battlefield, one of the things that they can be honest with themselves about is the map design. Way too many open spaces. It leaves you with no cover, just to get trashed by either snipers or vehicles, and it's just not a good feeling, especially when it happens too often. It's definitely overwhelming. They continue to say, our current plan for improvement is to ensure there are more opportunities to hide yourself from enemy line of sight while traveling from objective to objective, with a goal of ours being to reduce the focus on long-range combat and the necessity of carrying weapons which perform best in these ranges. As shared earlier, we presently feel that Kaleidoscope is an obvious offender for line of sight challenges and are already making passes internally on improving certain areas of the map, including redesigning our breakthrough experience to move combat into areas of the map where better cover already exists. What we'd like to hear from you is which maps and flags you see the most immediate need for more line of sight blockers. Knowing this will help us best prioritize the work that we go on to do in parallel with other changes and ensure that we're addressing the next biggest offenders in good order. All right, so it's good that they're taking a step to fix it, give you a little bit more cover, but by the sounds of it, it does sound like they want to just move the flags to more condensed areas of the map so that you either have trees, buildings, vehicles, whatever you can hide behind, which is cool and all, but it would be nice for them to tweak the map a little bit. I mean, if you're already taking this long to do, to bring out more content in the game and to address these changes, I mean, you might as well go all out. Make the maps a little different, add a little more design to them, instead of just moving the flags and the paths that you're walking by so that you have some cover. I mean, that's great and all, but I guess we can't talk too much until we see exactly what it is that they're going to do. So let's go ahead and move on to paths. I don't want to stick on one subject too long. This video is already going on long enough. But I like to read it for you guys so you don't have to sit here and read the whole thing. You can kind of skim through it as I'm going along with it. Paths. Another feedback area of focus is not having clear paths towards objectives and the lanes that players are most commonly traveling in when moving between objectives. Without a clear intended path, enemies' fire is more often coming from all possible angles. We recognize that when you're defending, this can make it difficult to hold the objective, and when on the attack, we see players expose themselves on bad lanes in bids to push for a flag. We're presently looking to bring improvements into the paths that we have on our maps to make it clearer and more defined paths while traveling between objectives in order to keep combat focused and to make it easier to understand how to get from one objective to the next. If you have thoughts or examples that align to those goals, please don't be shy to show us. So again, I love how they can continue to ask for people's opinion. They should have did this from the start. As soon as people started talking bad about the game, that would have resolved so many issues, and it wouldn't have been, the game wouldn't have been hated on for as long as it did, because at this point it's like, will people give it another chance? Will they come back to try it again once all of this is resolved? And I think if they would have caught it in the beginning, it wouldn't have given people a chance to back out completely, and then they would have been more willing to communicate with DICE and give them ideas and examples of what it is that the community wants, and it would have helped so much more. It says these can be as basic as extracting a 2-minute clip of you moving from flag to flag and calling us out, and calling out to us the experience you had while doing that. And that's actually a great idea. That, I think what they're doing is freaking awesome, and they should have done this so long ago. Let's go ahead and go to cover. Lastly, and similar to line of sight, the current lack of cover across maps is another improvement area, which is also caused by the open and flat spaces that you have encountered on certain maps. While we are trying to limit direct long-range combat between objectives, we're also looking to ensure sufficient cover for when you are traveling between the objectives. We are looking to address this by reviewing the need for additional cover in places where we feel that they are needed. In line with what has been discussed in some of our other focus areas, our intent is to reduce the likelihood of being fired at from a 360-degree angle, and to take away the Hail Mary feeling from running onto no man's land between objectives. If you have any specific areas of the map that are currently standing out to you which lack cover, then we'd love to hear from you. That's freaking awesome, man. Here are some examples of improvement areas in current maps. So this is, I believe, what your current breakthrough is layout. And you obviously have your A1 flag, A2, you got your B flag in the middle, and then you have C1 and C2 to the right. And it seems like the changes that they're trying to do here is the prototype layout is they would bring A1 lower, kind of where A2's at, and then they would put A2, yeah, so they would put A1 where A2 is, and then A2 a little bit to the right, a little bit closer to B1. Then you'd still have B1 depth stuck in the middle, and then you have C1 and C2 with C2 being right underneath the C1 flag. So everything will be a little closer. I think that would help infantry a little bit more, but if you still have the same amount of vehicles, I think that'd be a problem, because you're going to be so close by that these vehicles are going to be able to just attack and devour the entire infantry. So I think that with map design, they're going to have to go ahead and also, you know, I know people are going to hate that, but lower the amount of vehicles. And that's for breakthrough. So let's go ahead and move on to Conquest. They noticed that a few people run from the left tower up and go through the skate park to the dome. There are too many open spaces without cover, which leaves you open for a lengthy amount of time. And they're mainly talking about Kaleidoscope. I think it's one of the maps where they can give the most examples, because it's one of the most maps without cover. But I mean, I think all of them have spaces that have no cover that need work. So as you can see, the Conquest layout is A1 and A2 are to your left. You got the C flag in the middle, E1 and E2, which E1 and E2, I love that flag. Running to that flag just creates such chaos. You got the D flag again in the middle on the dome. Then you got B1 and B2 to your bottom left, and F1, G1, and F2 on the bottom right, which would be F1 and F2 are on the top rooftops of the building, and G1 is stabbed in the middle. Their new layout would just have an A1, so you're not doing A2 no more. They would take C away from the middle. E1 would be still where it's at, but no longer E2. You still have D1 right in the center, and this is where they make their changes. They have B1 a little bit more to the bottom left, with B2 coming a little closer to the right towards the middle. C1 would now be dead in the middle on this part of the map, on the lower area of the map, with C2 now being right next to it. So you're adding a flag, even though they're taking from A1, so they're pretty much just adding it to the C's. And then you got F1 and F2 on the tops of the building, and you're losing G, which I actually think this is going to be pretty dope, because I mean, yeah, it's kind of take away from this area and leave you a bald area in A1 to E1, but you don't have to travel that way. You can literally jump off the building on F1, parachute down to E1, and handle your business there, while vehicles can try to make it from A1 to E1 or the other way around and kind of battle each other out in this open field. So I honestly think that's looks pretty cool, and hopefully they stick with something like that. But we're going on almost 20 minutes, guys, so let's kind of rush through this. When can we expect these planned improvements to be live in game? It says that the plans that we've outlined to you today will require substantial development time, so we want to be transparent that not all of these proposed changes will be available to you in game simultaneously across all of our library maps. We've established some healthier behaviors that we have already started to incorporate into new maps that are in development for the game, but we'll be approaching the update of old maps with dedicated focus to the maps most needing the changes first. So that's pretty cool. They're already making work to the new maps they're designing, and they're already designing them with the mindset of not leaving open spaces, giving people cover, and the whole 9 yards that we've been discussing. So that's pretty cool. And when it comes to the maps that are already in game, obviously they'll be handling those first, the ones that need most of the work. It says our immediate priority areas of focus is to make improvements to Kaleidoscope on both Conquest and Breakthrough. We know that we have the most opportunity to improve gameplay on this map, and this is where you can expect to see the first updates to land. We're currently planning to deliver updates specifically to Kaleidoscope during Season 1, and your feedback will help us to not only optimize the changes that we're making to this map, but best inform us on where our focus on improving maps should move next. I love it. Every sentence finishes with wanting people's help. What do these identified improvement areas mean for future map design? We've already briefly shared that you'll visit new locations in future seasons, so today we'll also outline how these current learnings will impact the design process for future maps. The biggest action point for ourselves is that the bigger maps doesn't necessarily mean more freedom and playstyles or fun. So you can expect future maps to be smaller in scale than most of our released maps. This also means that we are reviewing a possible reduction in the number of sectors and total capture points per map when playing at 128 players. We're also thinking about changing the shape of the maps to give them more sense of direction. We feel that going from a common Battlefield standard of a square-shaped play space to a rectangular shape, most commonly used in some of our older entries in the franchise, can be better incentivized pushing forward versus circling out sideways. We feel that this can help to focus areas of combat, enable you to have more focused awareness, and reduce opportunities for enemy fire to come in from all around you. We also review the player counts across modes such as Breakthrough, as well as the type of number of vehicles that can be used in specific maps. For example, does it make sense to have multiple jets on Kaleidoscope? If that is our smallest map, it's important to note here that our focus isn't to limit your available options, but instead to find the right balance which positively enhances your gameplay experience. Above all, we want you to have fun no matter what map you're on, which that's a big thing. But I mean, 2 jets, it's always been 2 jets. I don't think they should change something like that. I mean, it's always been 2. The tanks for sure, and obviously this is just an example, but yeah, the jets, they're far-fetched on that. Don't take away the jets. People love the jets. People love using them to battle. People love using them to get from point A to point B. So I don't think the jets make sense, but everything else does. It also says what's next. Let's finish this up here. We hope today we've given you a good overview of how we've been collecting your feedback around map design and our thought process on how we can improve. We'd like to keep this an open discussion with you, the community, and we're looking forward to your thoughts on what we've outlined today. Throughout the post today, we've posted a lot of questions, and we invite you to share your thoughts, feelings, and responses over on the official Battlefield forums. But we're also, of course, be reading your comments across multiple hubs of community such as Discord, Reddit, and social media. It says, I will be back later this month to talk to you about the feedback that you've shared, what that's enabled us to pursue or inspired us to address. You'll hear from me and the team on how your feedback is helping us to the best improve your experience when you're playing the game. Lastly, we'd like to end with once again stating our dedication to the continued effort of improving on and delivering new content for Battlefield 2042. We don't take you, our players, for granted, and we truly appreciate your feedback and continue post-launch support now that we're on road to Season 1. See you on the battlefield. Freeman at Part Welsh, community lead in Battlefield. I love the way they ended this. People have been complaining about how Battlefield hasn't been forward with the community, how they've been silent, and I think anyone from just reading this or listening to this can truly say that they're making a complete 360 themselves. The fact that they ask nonstop what your opinions are, they want you to give them your opinions, and the fact that they continue to talk to us as if they want us to know, hey, when I read this, what comes to my mind is almost not truly an apology, but it's like someone's talking to you that's done wrong, and all they want to do is let you know, hey, you know, I want to make things right. And that's what I get out of it. Other people can get something different out of it, but that's what I get out of it. And truthfully, I think that's going to be a huge move for them if they want to continue to try to make 2042 something great. And I personally think it has all the potential in the world to be something great. And I cannot wait for them to start rolling out these updates and see what they bring to us. So let me know what your thoughts are on everything that we went over today. I know this was a lengthy video, but I think it was one that had to be lengthy. I didn't want to just go over 1 or 2 sentences. I wanted to read the entire thing to you on what they were talking about, how they discussed it, the questions that they asked. And honestly, if you're a Battlefield fan, think about sharing your thoughts either on the Battlefield forum or, like they said, Discord, Reddit, or social media, and give the guys a helping hand if you want to see Battlefield succeed, not only for 2042, but any other game that rolls out in the future. I said let's be a part of it and try to help them out any possible way we can. So other than that, again, let me know in the comments down below what you thought about it. Do you think that this is something that's going to work? Are you looking forward to providing your feedback to DICE? And let me know what you're looking more forward to out of everything that they spoke about. So if you haven't already subscribed, please think about doing so. It helps out the channel a lot. Drop a like on the video, comment down below, be active in the chat. Even if you just drop an emoji, man, it helps out a lot, honestly. And other than that, man, thank you so much for tuning in. I appreciate you guys so much, and I will definitely catch you guys on the next one. Peace.
We are attacking Charlie 1.